Buffalo visiting the Denver Broncos at Mile High, the first game of the weekend, Saturday afternoon. Now I watch my Buffalo Bills go into Jacksonville 0-5 in the McDermott era and win a playoff game on the road. It was exhilarating. Josh Allen, injuries everywhere, 80% completion percentage, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a masterclass performance, and I really respect Jacksonville and the job they did this year. I do think they're going to be a good team next year, but I really like this game, Steve, to be honest with you. Now, I don't think Denver is a walk in the park by any means. They're a number 1 seed for a very good reason, but at the same time, I do think we match up with them just a little bit better than we matched up with Jacksonville, because I did think Jacksonville was the most well-rounded team going into the playoffs. So I'm obviously picking the Buffalo Bills. Again, I am pumped to see this team hopefully make a Super Bowl run here. I'll get into the breakdown of each team, but I want to hear your thoughts on the game first.
Well, first of all, last week, shoot myself in the foot for not picking the Buffalo Bills. Should have done it, but I had the feeling, either team, whoever won that game, I think Romo said it, you kind of feel like whoever won that game could probably go win the AFC. We just needed to know who was going to win that game. Was it Jacksonville? Are they still riding hot? Or is this finally Josh Allen's year? And it ended up being Josh Allen winning that game. Now, Vegas, or at least ESPN Bet, has Denver as a 1.5 at home. JV, you know this. Who was the 1.5 favorite at home last week? The Jacksonville Jaguars. We not learning from our mistakes here? What are we doing? We got to be picking the Josh Allen factor. It's 100% real. You know it, JV. Recent history shows if you don't have Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes on the other side of that field, then Josh Allen is that good. He's just going to will his team to victory. Even when I think Denver is like Jacksonville last week, is just a better team overall than Buffalo. But I'm not going to make that mistake again, JV. Even though Jacksonville, that team scared. If you're a Bills fan, that team should have scared you more, given that they were red hot at home, warm weather, 8 straight games. I think it was. Trevor Lawrence was looking like the number 1 pick. And you know who showed up in that game on the road? A place where McDermott hasn't won? His defense, where I called out as the X factor last week. Buffalo's defense has never showed up in big spots in the McDermott era. And they got, I think, 2 interceptions off Trevor Lawrence and helped Josh Allen close that game out. And so if we're going to get into X factors here, the Bills' defense is going to be my X factor as long as Buffalo's still in the playoffs. Because history knows, JV, last couple of years, whenever they lose, no matter if it's home or away, it's because the defense just doesn't show up and they get 30 hung on them. So I think if they can force a turnover or 2 off Bo Nix, it's going to be a tougher defensive assignment for Josh Allen to handle because Denver's one of the better defenses in the league. But if the defense can show up and maybe they get James Cook involved here, it's going to be tough because that's a good defense. Then I think the Bills win this game.
I was very impressed with McDermott last week. All things considered, knowing his playoff history in the big moments, I thought he coached a pretty good game. Now, when we lost our safety, I believe it was Jordan Poyer last week, when he ended up going out, we did start loosening some screws defensively. We let up a few big touchdowns, but we had Josh Allen, which was huge. But like you said, Steve, we're going to need the big defensive performance this week. Again, hopefully we can get a few guys in the secondary back, which leads to my 3 keys of the game for the Buffalo Bills. My keys to the game for the Bills, we need a healthy defense. Maxwell Hairston, Terrell Bernard. We don't have Jordan Poyer again, but I think with a week of practice and getting a few guys back healthy will be better. Our veterans need to make big plays, whether that's Matt Milano, Tre'Davious White, or Brandon Cooks. These guys have playoff experience. They're the ones I'm banking on. We have 3 starting receivers this week. That's it. That's all we got in our lineup right now. If you go search up Buffalo Bills depth chart, we legit have 3 receivers. No Gabe Davis, Tyrell Shavers, who played 22 snaps on a torn ACL last week, which is unbelievable. That's never the expectation, but what an absolute dog. And Josh Palmer obviously gone as well. I don't know if Curtis Samuel is going to be in the mix, whatever. I don't think it really makes a difference for us, but I do think my third and final point is that we need a game-changing play defensively by one of 4 guys. Greg Rousseau, Joey Bosa, Christian Benford, or Cole Bishop. We had one of those last week that sealed the game. We need it again, and I trust this defense against Bo Nix, who we kind of settled down last year in the playoffs. I believe we're going to do it again. Now, like I said, obviously I'm picking the Buffalo Bills. The last legit competition Denver played, Steve, was the Jags, and the Jags put belt to ass against this Denver team in the second half. They're 11 wins this year in one-score games, but I think the Bills can handle it. But I don't think this is a walk in the park. Denver needs to establish this run game early because that's where we struggle. We are getting Ed Oliver back on the interior, which should be huge. But if Denver can run outside the tackles and contain Josh Allen, because that's really the name of the game against a quarterback like that, that's how you beat this Buffalo Bills team. But again, a lot easier said than done. The X factor for me for Denver is Sean Payton. He doesn't have a lot offensively. Bo Nix heats up at the end of the year. Cortland Sutton's good. RJ Harvey's talented. But it's not a super uber talented roster. It's not a crazy offense. So he's going to have to scheme up some great plays, some open passes for Bo Nix against the secondary that has allowed the least amount of passing yards all year long. So like I said, I'm rolling Bills here, but I'm not just bypassing this Denver team. Like, Denver's defense is elite. If I'm Joe Brady, it is Brandon Cooks fade balls on Riley Moss whenever we can get it all game long. And that's all I'm doing. And I'm relying on Josh Allen to make things happen with his legs.
Yeah, like you said, this is not going to be a walk in the park like last year. Bo Nix a year older, another year of Sean Payton. The defense for Denver is better, and I think they're a little bit better offensively, and it's in the Mile High City. So it's going to be a little bit of a tougher matchup for Buffalo. This is not some team they should take lightly, of course. Like you said, Denver should obviously try to establish the run outside. I thought Jacksonville got away from that with ETN. Buffalo has the worst run defense in football. So some might say RJ Harvey and having an explosive game could be the X factor here. But I'm going to say my X factor is Bo Nix because, like I said for Trevor Lawrence last week, to beat Buffalo, Josh Allen in recent years, you got to match Josh Allen. Joe Burrow did, Patrick Mahomes did numerous times. Trevor Lawrence lost because he had 2 picks. Didn't quite rise to Superman's level. So if Denver wants to beat Josh Allen, unless Denver's defense has like a 15 Broncos type performance on like Tom Brady, Cam Newton, and they just give Josh Allen hell, Bo Nix wouldn't have to have such a great performance. But let's just say Josh Allen's Josh Allen again, like he usually is in the postseason, then Bo Nix needs to have the game of his life. So he's got to have to be the X factor for me in this one.
Yeah, and I mean, you obviously go into games wanting to do the best that you can. But if I'm Denver, if I'm Sean Payton, Bo Nix, I'm probably going into this game legitimately thinking we have to put up 30 points. Like, it's just what it is, right? Like, I know your defense is elite, but Josh Allen last week went out against Jacksonville with the same damn weapons, injured. Mid-game, he was just completely smashed, and it was like he still put up 3 TDs and played a damn near perfect game against us and put up 27 points and had multiple game-winning drives, right? So if I'm that offensive coordinator, the offensive staff, whoever it is, I'm looking at this Buffalo Bills offense and saying, yeah, our defense is good, but at some point that doesn't really matter when you're playing a quarterback like this. We're going to need some offensive production, and that's really what the Chiefs have had over the past 4 or 5 years when we've played them. It's just been Mahomes who's dominated, and Josh Allen has played great, but Mahomes has, in most case scenarios, played just that much better, which is where, we've fallen short, unfortunately. But now the field is wide open, and I do think Buffalo getting the confidence on the road against the Jags was huge. I was the most nervous about that matchup. So if we can get this Denver Broncos W in the bag, moving into the AFC Conference Championship, I really do think it's ours to lose. I don't care what the odds have to say. If Josh Allen's starting, we always got a shot.